speculators, and we have this on record, have stated that they've never done a study on the size of the market. So if they have never done a study on the size of the market, how can they ever be able to supply what the market wants? We've also shown that the market can be as high as 70 to even maybe 100 tons a year. And we can at best supply between 2 and maybe, well, I don't think so, but possibly 14 tons a year. So on every different scale, every single point raised in there is absolutely, it's incomprehensible that people think that will get past the scrutiny of CITES and the international community. It might be suitable to the cause of the speculators, but there's not one little point in that which has got any grounding in reality.
Yeah. Again, there's an assumption that demand is uniform, that if you just supply enough, somehow you'll satisfy demand. There's no understanding of the impact on certain segments of consumer demand that may be affected through proposing illegal trade at all. And this idea that farmed stock can create a buffer against wild exploitation, poaching, just doesn't bear out in reality. And we've mentioned the example of the vicuña, and again, we see it. We have a living example. We also have the example of abalone, where the provision of illegal trade simply creates parallel markets. The existence of legal trade in abalone has done nothing to reduce poaching of abalone in the wild. Now that's partly because the governance mechanisms set up to try and reduce abalone poaching just don't work. And again, that points to an assumption in that assertion that a tightly controlled, regulated trade will somehow serve as a buffer against wild exploitation. There's no such thing as a tightly regulated, controlled market. It just doesn't work that way, and South Africa's government, never mind other governments in the supply chain, have the resources or the political will to prioritize creating that kind of thing. I mean, what do they stand to gain from it, other than being paid by those who lobby for it? I just don't understand how anyone believes that a country that struggles to keep the lights on is going to manage a tightly regulated trade. And if we have examples from other products that show that that same kind of logic does not result in a buffer against species in the wild, then why are we still promoting it?